The shoulds trap.
Oh,
I should be married by now. I should want kids. I should have found someone already.
so I cannot stand shoulds. They literally make my skin crawl. First of all, it is violent language because it's arbitrary judgment. The minute we put a should on something, I should be doing something, you're judging yourself because who said? Society, your mom, your friends, people that actually aren't even walking in your shoes. That's where that's coming from. It's rarely coming internally from what you're feeling. And so when you say I should be married by 26, now you're making dumb decisions.
Welcome to Ask A Matchmaker. I'm Matchmaker Maria, and on this episode, I'm joined by Dr. Melissa Robinson Brown. She's a licensed clinical psychologist who helps high-achieving women navigate love, success, and self-discovery. I want to remind you that this podcast is for everyone, whether you're single, in a relationship, or somewhere in between. You'll always find no-nonsense insights here into dating, relationships, compatibility, and love in modern times. And remember, dating is a privilege. If you found your person, that is wonderful. But if you're single, which I know is a big part of this community, this space is especially for you. My goal is to give you the tools, the insights, and yes, sometimes the tough love you need to navigate dating with clarity and confidence. And if you haven't already purchased it, my book, Ask A Matchmaker, is out. It is your guide to finding love without the nonsense, and I'd love for you to pick up a copy. You can also download the audiobook and have a parasocial relationship with me. That is what I keep hearing from people who have listened to the book. I'm so happy that you've purchased your copy. You can also get one too. And you can also join my roundtable. That is my community for singles who are ready to date with intention. And every Monday, we get to have a live call, a private live call with each other. There's a special promo code waiting for you in the show notes. Now, this season, we have gone back to something that you all love. I'm joined by incredible guests on most episodes. And of course, our hotline isn't going anywhere. So if you have questions, go to matchmakermaria.com, hit podcasts, and submit your question. I will feature it in a future episode. And remember, you are at the heart of this podcast because it's always about you. All right, so today we're talking about something that comes up a lot in my work, dating as a high-achieving woman. Can you have both love and success? My guest is Dr. Melissa Robinson Brown. She's a licensed clinical psychologist with over 20 years of experience. She works with women who've checked all the boxes, but still feel stuck, anxious, or unfulfilled. We'll dig into the myths, the pressure, and how success actually shapes relationship today. Welcome to the pod, Dr. Mel.
Thank you so much for having me here, Maria. I am so excited.
I am so excited that you're here. I've been trying to get this to happen for a few months, and I want to talk about that journey first because I want to ask about you. So first off, we met at Esther Perel's conference.
Yes.
Just by the coffee bar. Instantly connected. I'm going to say that.
I feel the same way.
Okay.
I'm such an energy person, and I felt like our energy was so much in sync that day.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, I need this person in my life. Immediately started following you.
Same.
You started following me. And then it just so happened that the following week, my advanced book boxes were going out.
Yes.
And I was like, put Dr. Mel's name in there. I love that therapists are reading the book. And you got the book and you made this incredible video. I was just blown away. I wish more people who got the advanced book did that. I was like, hello, here's the template. And then as much as I wanted to go into that excitement, you suddenly had a death in the family. And it's like, you're still a new friend.
Yes.
We don't have that kind of relationship yet, established. But I also want to check in with you. So I just want to ask now, it's been a few months. How are you?
It's been a journey. So I lost my dad, so one of the most significant people in my life. And grief is, it's just so unpredictable. And I think I tell my clients this all the time, and until you actually feel it, you just don't know. But it's been up and down. Like yesterday, I was fine, and then all of a sudden it was just waves of grief that came over me. And I don't even know if anything actually triggered it. So it's been a journey. It's been up and down. I told somebody once, like, when hard things happen, you cannot put your life on hold because I have kids, I have a husband, right? I have a business to run, so I can't just stop, but I can't keep moving in the way that I was because I have to honor the fact that I'm grieving. So it's been trying to figure out what that balance is.
What was your favorite thing about your dad?
He was absolutely my biggest cheerleader. Sorry.
Do you think that influenced the husband you chose?
Absolutely.
In what way?
My dad was just so kind. Thank you. He was very kind, and he was very much involved with his girls. I have a sister and a brother. My brother has some developmental disabilities, but my sister and I were into sports, and we were in a lot of activities, and my dad was there for everything. And so I really wanted somebody who was kind and showed up with that kind of energy, and who was just from day one invested in being a dad. It's one of the first things I talked about with my husband is how much he wanted kids. And I made him wait because I was in school and I was like, I got to finish school first, but then we can have kids. And he held me to that because literally I graduated from school in 2008 and our first child was born in 2009.
Oh, let's go. Let's make it happen.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about now the women that we are advising. We are giving dating advice to, because you actually just pinpointed something really important, right? It's not only how our parents influence who we choose and even the ideas of like what we are worthy of.
Yeah.
But it's also who we're choosing to go through life's toughest moments.
Yeah. Oof. Absolutely.
Like, you know, sometimes it's like, oh, you know, we think about when sometimes at work, someone will say to me like, you know, I want someone tall, dark, and handsome. And I go, that is not criteria that will help you.
Right.
And even from the male side, you know, men will tell me she's got to be hot or she's got to have this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we're choosing not only the possibly future parent of your kid, we're choosing who gets to go through that grief journey with you.
Absolutely.
Even if you have no relationship with your parents, there is this sort of grief that someone will experience in what could have been, right? And I think you just kind of put a value to that.
Yes.
So I really appreciate you sharing about your dad and also your husband here.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's talk about one of the biggest myths.
Yes.
It's called the too successful myth.
Yes.
This narrative is out there that women are single because they're too successful. Dr. Mel, why do you think that idea has stuck around?
So I love that you asked this, right? Because looking at some of like the historical literature and like studies that came out in like 2004, 2005, a lot of people were doing studies and asking men through different ways, if your partner is more successful than you, how are you going to feel? And so one study that was published in the Journal of Personality Psychology, I think.
In what year or what decade?
It was in the early 2000s.
Oh, okay.
So they found that when men were basically told, like they both took the same test, and where men were told that their partner did 12 points higher than them, their implicit self-esteem was lower. So not on the outside, not like what I'm actually reporting, but they had this way of measuring how someone is feeling about themselves, like on the inside, like what they're not saying. And historically, they're finding that men's implicit self-esteem was lower, not the same for women, right? So then another study in some like articles in Psychology Today also started talking about this same thing, that when men perceive that their partner is more successful, that they were less happy. So what was interesting about looking at those studies, though, but things like that, they get blown up in the media.
Of course.
And then we all internalize.
And of course, sometimes they're published even before peer review.
Absolutely.
And then B, when I hear stuff like this, my immediate question, and maybe it's because I've read a ton of journals and trends and stuff like that, but my immediate question is, well, how was the question worded?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me what happened.
So that's the thing, and who? Because that's the other thing, right? When we're good consumers of research.
Not only who made the question, but also who is taking this exam. There's two who's.
Yes. So when you look at this, but when you look at the data and you look at the people who are being assessed, it's all college students. So it's these young kids who don't know anything yet, because what do you know in college?
Well, what do you know about managing a house?
Yes. Or having a successful life together, or what it means to
define success.
Or like right now, I'm 20, I've been with my husband for 23 years. This is the first time ever we're dealing with unemployment.
I just want to say, you look so good, if you're not watching this on YouTube, that there's no way someone didn't just think, 23, is she a child bride? Did you marry at 11? Is that legal? You need to know that. You look like a baby.
Thank you. I'll take it. So we're dealing with a whole nother set of life stressors right now. Nobody's thinking about that, right? Nobody's thinking, hey, if I lose, as the breadwinner, if I lose my job, but I've married down, we're screwed. Right? Nobody's thinking about those things. So they're college students, right? And it's a small n. So when you look at, and by n, it's like the sample size, right? When you look at the numbers of people in these studies, it's like 30 some people here, 40 some people here.
But there's so many more questions that I have now, which is like, what university was this asked at? For instance, if you're asking someone who goes to maybe a university in Utah versus maybe at a university that's historically Black, you're going to have very different responses, even in that college student sample, right? Like the perception of understanding like what it takes to pay a mortgage. Like I want you to keep going, but I just want to say, like, I feel like my husband and I, we pay that mortgage together, but there's a lot of freedom in how our emotional bandwidth is spent as a couple. When we're not penny pinching, when we're not thinking about, well, how much is this going to cost? Like, when I go fill up gas, I'm not thinking to myself, I remember this back in the day when I'd be like, I have $20. If it gets me 5 gallons, so be it, right? Now I'm like, I don't know how much gas costs. I need to fill it up. It's going to cost what it costs. There is a freedom to that. And that's going to spill over to my relationship. So tell me more about so these studies come out. I'm going to assume your next statement is going to be that this then becomes the narrative that people push. So now, so women are too successful. You know, it's funny, by the way, and I want you to keep going, but I want to say one last thing. This is not the first time. I mentioned in my book about how the invention of the bicycle is what kicked off dating in America. It's right in chapter 1.
I remember.
And what happened when the bicycle was invented and women started to use it, the newspapers, because there was no TV then, the newspapers were publishing pieces about how if a woman rides a bike, she is no longer feminine and she's no longer attractive and no longer worthy of marriage. Like there was this whole push that she would have like biker's face because, what is it? She's just glowing. She's sweating. Right. But because they didn't want women seeking out new opportunities for success and to diversify their dating pool, they instead attached this narrative that you don't want a woman who bikes. And now, 100 years later, it's like, you don't want a woman who makes more money than you, but it's it's different sides of the exact same coin. So how has that, so tell me about the myth now, right? So how has that, is that what it is then? It's just a narrative?
It's a narrative. And to your point, right? So right around this time also, I think early 2000s, there's a couple of New York Times articles that come out. Right. And one by Robert Schwartz. Robert Schwartz is this big scientist, and he's saying women who, men are not wanting women who are more successful than them. Right. And it's the New York Times. Right. This is not like a small publication. This is something that is read nationally, right? Internationally, maybe. And so now we're picking up. It's the
paper of record.
Yeah. And it's all in the media. And people consume, you and I are scientists. So we know when you consume literature, you have to be careful about what you're consuming. Not everybody consumes literature.
Not everyone has media literacy.
Yeah.
I will say, as a professional matchmaker, I have had the experience of working with very successful men. And I would say 9 out of 10 of them, they want a successful woman. I haven't had that experience. Even the few clients that have said to me, I want to get married and I would really like my wife to be a stay-at-home mom. they're still like, but she needs to have a career. She needs to have an education. And I'm like, okay, let me think of a career woman in Manhattan.
Right.
Willing to just give up. Oh, you're a partner at a law firm. Go.
Right. Let's go be a stay-at-home mom.
Go be a stay-at-home mom. Like, all right, that's going to be a hard ask. There are women who want that, and that's fine. That's what the feminist movement is. You get a choice of your future here.
Right.
I do feel like that narrative I think that narrative has actually been pushed even more in the last year. The manosphere keeps telling women, you have to submit to your husband.
Yes.
It keeps telling women, the man is supposed to be the breadwinner. It keeps telling women, college men can't get jobs at the rate of college women, college educated women. And I'm like, but shouldn't we be giving men the tools to be more employable, or maybe give them I guess my thought on this is, the reason why I think more women are currently employable post-college is because they're studying things that are not necessarily replicated by AI, like healthcare work, right? Whereas I think a lot of men, they're being put into these sort of pipelines that is expected of them in how we've structured gender. And then it's like, oh, but who's to say that accounting won't be replaced by AI?
Exactly. Well, because they're going after the money, what's historically lucrative. But these things that are very lucrative are the things that they're going for first in terms of using AI to do those things easier, right? And so you're right. Like, if men are still going into these professions that historically make more money.
But do you notice, I want to stick to this myth for a second, because I'm also noticing another push. I'm noticing lately, even as big as Gary Vaynerchuk. I don't know if you know who that is.
I do know that name, yeah.
But he kind of promotes this idea for years now that, like, well, college isn't that important.
Yeah.
Or I've heard of women telling me that dates that they've been on, let's say through Hinge or Bumble, that a man will downplay her job. And it's like, or they'll sexualize her job. Like, to go back to healthcare, they see nurse and they're like, oh, will you take care of me? And I'm like, this is a stranger to you. You just, like, I have to tell women, put healthcare instead of nursing to stop this. And I feel like that to success, like, you're too successful to date. I feel terrible that I have to tell a nurse who probably worked really hard to get her RN or CNA or whatever other specialization she has to just write healthcare.
Yes. That sort of, like, actually has, and I get it, I understand why, but you're right. Like, even though there's more recent, actually, literature and research that says 50% of women and men are marrying similar education levels, right? And that even men are saying that there's one study I found that men said for every year of education that a woman has post high school, they are 8% happier.
Yeah, I've read that too. Yeah. Actually, the divorce rate plummets. I was reading this study. I believe it was through Dr. Terry Orbeck, who's one of my mentors. She's a clinical psychologist who has studied 300 couples that got married in 1984, and she's followed them through. Some of them have gotten divorced, some of them have become widowed, some of them have remarried. She keeps following new couples. And what she discovered is that if you married after the age of 27, and if you had secondary education, and if you knew each other for at least 2 years, the divorce rate plummets. So when people say stuff like, half of marriages end in divorce, that's actually not an accurate percentage. I think it's the success rate of a marriage is like way over 75% for that sort of node, whereas the success is less than 30%, I believe, if they dated each other less than 2 years, completed only high school education, or if they didn't finish high school and got married before the age of 27. And I think my conclusion to that, and I believe this was also Dr. Terry Orbeck, so I don't want to take her words and count them as mine, but I believe it's like, the more you've built, the more financial stability you might have, the friction of a relationship, because if we think about what marriage is, it's the merging of two businesses. Dr. Mel and husband.
Yes.
Right? They've merged two businesses. You're a CFO, he's a CFO.
Yep.
And that there is friction as it pertains to money management. And if you're pinching pennies, that is, you can have resentment. I mean, you're the therapist here. You tell me what I'm saying, you know.
But you're right. Resentment, frustration, also just, you know, like the sadness that comes along with imagining a life you thought you were going to have, and then you're having to pinch pennies around it. And I think what you said before about that freedom, like it changes the way you're living your life in a way that I don't have to think about every single thing. So I'm not fighting with you about why isn't there enough money in the account? The account got overdrawn when I pumped the gas, right? So people have to think about too what contributes to their feelings of contentment and fulfillment moving through the day-to-day. Because the day-to-day is not always going to be the lovey-dovey, I'm all over you, having sex.
No,
right?
Most days are boring.
Yes. Right?
That's actually good. That means that it's meeting the expectations of the day. I don't want something crazy to happen. I do, though, want to note that this is not us to say to women, okay, date someone more successful than you.
No.
I would like to say to this, and I want to hear your thoughts too, is if you're making X amount and you're envisioning a life of Y, then he has to at least make the Y. And for some people, that Y can be smaller than you think, right? Like it doesn't have to actually, if I have to put exact numbers, right? I remember, I think I mentioned this in the book. There was a woman who was making like $300,000. And she's like, the man I meet has to be making $500,000. Oof. And I'm like, okay, but like, what is your life cost?
Yes.
Because what if and this actually is in my book, what if that's who she married. She married a high school teacher. He's making $90,000 a year because New Jersey pays really good in public schools. But guess what? He has summers off. He is home earlier than her. He's creating this other emotional stability in the house that they might have not otherwise afforded if they were both making the same amount of money. Because let me tell you, those high paying jobs, it's not always 9 to 5.
Oh, I know. That is so real.
All right, let's go to the next myth, the shoulds trap.
Oh.
You've described the shoulds as a kind of violent language we use on ourselves. I should be married by now. I should want kids. I should have found someone already. How does that kind of self-talk show up in dating and relationships?
So I cannot stand shoulds. They literally make my skin crawl. And so I think, first of all, it is violent language because it's arbitrary judgment. The minute we put a should on something, I should be doing something, you're judging yourself because who said? Society, your mom, your friends, people that actually aren't even walking in your shoes. That's where that's coming from. It's rarely coming internally from what you're feeling. And so when you say I should be married by 26, now you're making dumb decisions about who you're going to be with. I should have kids by now, especially if you have pressure. Do you even want to have kids with this person? Do you want to have kids at 26?
Do you want kids?
Do you want kids? Right? I should have this kind of marriage, right? I've heard this in my client sessions.
Tell me about that.
I should have the kind of partner who comes home every day and I have his dinner on the table and we have family dinners all the time. And I'm like, but who says that's supposed to be your life? Does that actually resonate with you? Well, I think it just looks good. To who? Who's watching your everyday?
Yeah, you're not the Kardashians.
You're not.
And even that's produced.
Right? And we get caught up in that. We get caught up in what is on TV and we think that's what it's supposed to be like.
Pause on that. Did you see this like documentary that's come out with Kanye?
Oh gosh, no.
I never realized how overproduced the Kardashians were until this past week when certain clips came out and you see, this brilliant artist going through a mental break and you're seeing his ex-mother-in-law de-escalating, managing him.
Wow.
You see them doing intervention with him and his own family trying to be there for him. And I was just like, whoa, like this has never been shown on any of the episodes. This is life. This is the messy. We're seeing the headlines of like, Kim did this, Kanye did this. And I'm like, this is a person who needs help.
Yes. So much.
because I really liked Kanye.
I
I really liked his music. And now I'm like, this is kind of the last 10 years, maybe more now, have been kind of weird.
It has been very strange. And it's interesting how the public has also taken that and made it a thing about him, as opposed to being like, he needs real treatment and care.
Yeah, like we excuse things that he does that sometimes the language is violent, right? And the insinuation is violent. And it feels, we're not gonna talk about Kanye now for the rest of this episode,
Yes,
but I want to go back to the shoulds trap.
Yes.
A lot of high achieving women you work with have already done so much. They feel like something is missing. What are the most common pivot points they go through, and how do these moments shape how they approach love?
So the major pivot points, especially in late 30s, early 40s, is I've done all of these things career-wise, and they're at the top of their career, right? So they've probably worked their way up the ladder faster than everybody else. They are, the top medical, they're the CMOs, right? The chief medical officers, they're the lead counsels, they're the top architect at a firm. They've really done this thing career-wise, because as a high-achieving woman, that's what they wanted to do. And then it's like, I have all this career stuff, and I still don't feel happy. And am I supposed to be happy now? And so some of them are partnered, some of them aren't. But the ones, and so it's slightly different, because they're each having issues, I think, relationally too, whether they're partnered or not. But the ones that aren't partnered and are wanting to find relationships, they're sort of feeling like all my history is that when I start letting a man know what I do, they disappear. Or it starts being more of a situationship than a relationship. So they're finding that I can't, and they say this even about high achieving men, right? They cannot find the man that is wanting to engage with them. Now, they're putting it on the fact that they are high achieving women, but I don't know if that's really it.
Is this how the kids do it now?
Yes.
For anyone not watching on YouTube, I just put my fingers up and did a little clappy thing with my fingers. I think there's a name for it. I don't know what it is, and I'm probably never going to learn. But I think what you just said is like, it should be bold. Because as a matchmaker, I see this in my office too. I will get women who are, let's say, the top 1% in their career. And sometimes they'll say, I just want a man who's going to love me. I just want a man who's going to be emotionally stable. I just want a man who's going to have XYZ. And then suddenly it's, I should have someone who's also at the top of his game. I should have someone who has a full head of hair. I should have someone who is tall. I should have someone who makes this sound of income. And I will say, I'll say, why? Why, what if the match is this person? Why is it all these new characteristics? And then they'll say something, and I want you to address this for me. They'll say something like, well, the kind of guy you want to set me up with, I could have dated him 10 years ago. I could have gotten this guy on my own. And I'm like, okay.
So I think that's an interesting thing to say.
Not all women, by the way.
Right.
There is this minority of women that would say this to a matchmaker, of course, right? So.
Well, it also seems like they're stating a thing about levels. Like, I have now risen to a different level, and that person is not at my level anymore. Now, I don't know if that's what they're saying, but that's what I'm hearing. Like, I could have gotten this guy 10 years ago.
Right.
And now that I'm at this level, I need more, right? And I think one of the things that I absolutely loved in your book is this idea of writing your manifest, and that really your manifest has nothing to, literally, it usually has nothing to do with like what they're doing for a living, and it's very much about how this person is making you feel. And I think we get too caught up, or women sometimes get too caught up in the resume and not enough in the, how do I feel when I'm with that person?
Because what did you say before? In a marriage, it's not always exciting. Every day is typically boring.
Yep.
And so you have to still manage your how you feel supported in the day to day.
Yep.
And sure, there should be a minimum amount of payment, minimum amount of salary that might make this relationship work based on the lifestyle you want to enjoy. I understand that. at the same time, that can't be everything.
No. And I think, I've just thinking about all of the friends I have, and, so I live in a nice suburb of New Jersey, right? I'm in Montclair, and I know that my friends have different ranges of salaries, right? I've seen people do amazing things with not a ton of money. And it's really about how you use that. And so when we get so caught up in the amount of money that people are making, you're losing sight of that feel, right? You're losing sight of that thing that you're talking about, which is you feeling good with this person.
All right. You also talk about friendship as fulfillment. As women get older, many tell you that their friendships actually feel more fulfilling than their romantic relationship. I hear that a lot too. So why do you think that shift happens, and what does that mean in how we define success for love?
Yeah. You know what I love about, I actually love when women tell me this, because it's, especially for older women, I sometimes hear the other side. It's so hard to find friends as an adult.
Yeah.
And you really do need support, especially as a woman who is like navigating a world that isn't always set up for us to be high achieving, right? We still get pushed back against. So I love when women are like, I have these beautiful friendships. And oftentimes when you think about it, they've been cultivating and nurturing these friendships for years. These are the girls that they call up and they have, they have group chats every week. They are constantly texting with each other. They're sharing very deep emotional things with one another.
They come to Greece with me.
Yeah, which I think is awesome, right? Vulnerability. It's beautiful. So they've literally, those, to your point about the feeling and the manifesto, they've created a feeling that feels so safe, so loving and warm with their girlfriends, that they're like, do I need a guy? Do I need a partner? Because it's not always.
I always say, like, sometimes a lot of us are straight against our will.
Yeah.
Because
it's so real.
Who would choose this?
Right.
But with that said, I think that we are seeing a place where there is this shift, especially at this moment in time, where we're articulating more that we have strong female friendships. The girl squad. I do hope that men are given these opportunities as well, but that's also on them to outreach and create those connections and mentorships and being able to share and their vulnerability, because that's what's going to help them connect with women as well. But I also think it's an incredible plus when you have really strong female friendships as a woman, because I think it actually opens up your possibilities of who you can be with. And what I mean by that is, I think for a lot of people, they see the partner that they're going to marry as the partner that has to be everything to them.
Yes.
We have to be 100% intellectually compatible. We have to be 100% spiritually compatible. Like, there's certain compatibility pillars that there's like this overabundance. And I don't think you have to be 100% compatible intellectually with your partner. I think some of that weight has to come from your friends. Like, the things that I laugh about with my own sister, my husband doesn't understand. That doesn't mean that my husband and I are misaligned on sense of humor. We do have a quite similar sense of humor. But I will watch White Chicks with my sister, the Marlon Brothers.
Yes.
And we can quote that movie front and back. And my husband's like, why do you find this funny? But I don't need him to have that part of that sliver of my sense of humor. We don't have to share that.
Right.
And the same goes for men. What I say in the book too, like, I think it's a red flag if a man doesn't have friends, because what I'm scared of is that you become his whole world. And I don't think I think strong marriages work when there's friendships outside the marriage to supplement the parts that your husband can't possibly be.
I also think not only if your potential partner doesn't have friends, but like, look at those friendships. There's a difference between like, it's just my bros that I watch football with, we never talk to each other, we never share anything, versus like, even if I'm thinking about my husband, like, he has two very close friends who have been there for him as he's navigated his own stuff. I mean, deeply personal shifts and changes in his own life that I'm like, okay. Because there is a difference. Like, that's also teaching men to be vulnerable. Like, if you can be vulnerable with another man, which is so taboo in our world and is probably a whole nother discussion, but so taboo for vulnerability, right? But a guy's ability to do that, to have close male friendships, and that's what it is, that is also a very good sign, I think, in a partner.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think my favorite dating tip is to ask people on your dates, tell me more about your friends.
Yeah.
What are they like? How often do you see them?
And what do you all do together?
And it's okay if your friends live in a different state because you just moved into the city. Like, are you Zooming? Are you phone calling? Like, you can't just drop your friends because of geography.
Right.
All right. Before we end this episode, we have some matchmaker mail.
Okay.
And I'd love your take on this. So, hi, Matchmaker Maria, needing some advice. I'm 34, living outside of Philly. I feel really grateful for the life I've built. My career in tech gives me independence and stability, and I'm lucky to be surrounded by smart, successful people. I don't need a man to complete me, but recently I've been dating with intention to find a partner to share life with. What I value most is connection, someone fun, curious, and inspiring. A few months ago, I met a journalist in the most rom-com moment at a coffee shop reaching for our mobile orders. We clicked instantly through humor, sharp conversation, and shared curiosity. For once, it felt real. But crack showed I was usually the one planning and paying for dates. His frugality didn't bother me at first, but I wanted to see more effort from him. After a work trip, he admitted he couldn't keep up with my lifestyle. That crushed me because I never needed him to match me financially. I wanted him, not his wallet. I wanted more of an effort to plan something. He was short and said he just couldn't see it long term and that he could never make as much as me. So here's my question. How do I avoid this in the future? I don't expect a partner to have the same salary just to show up and build something together. Yet money always seems to become the barrier. Thanks for reading. Already on chapter 3 of your book. I love it. Oh, thanks. I love you, Maria. Sure. I'm going to say that. I love you. Thank you. What do you think, Dr. Mel? I'm so happy you're here to answer this question.
Yeah, I feel so sad for her, first of all, because it sounds like she was really into this guy. I do wonder if two things. One, his frugality didn't bother me at first. So we have to be careful, right? Because I don't know if she was leading with her money, right? Like, sometimes that happens. We feel like we can do it, so we do. Mm-hmm. So when it's time to, when it's the first date, we're like, let's split the check, right? Or I got it, don't worry about it. And so you're also setting a pace there. You're setting a blueprint for how that relationship is going to go really early in the relationship. So I don't know if that's what she was doing. But also, I agree with her. There's red flaggy stuff that just came up in the very beginning because he was never planning anything. Didn't matter if money was an issue.
I mean, you could make a journalist, a school teacher, postdoc student. They're all making in that similar, like it's him making a lower income is not a big deal.
It's not, but he made it one. And he took a cop out. Because it sounds like all she wanted was plan dates. Yeah. Initiate dates.
Like, he could date a woman who makes $45,000 a year.
Yeah.
She's going to have the exact same issues.
Exactly. And it's Philly. So there's lots of free stuff to do.
Yeah. So it's funny because I'm thinking about my husband. When I met my husband, he was, a researcher at Harvard. I'll say it. I was going to say University at Boston. But he wasn't making a lot of money. I was making more of the money. But he... never let me pay for dates. Mm-hmm. That the way we kind of did it is that if we went out to dinner or cocktails, he always paid. And then because I could see, like, I'm aware of how much he was making.
Yeah.
I wanted to show my appreciation. So I made sure that I paid for all the activity dates. So for instance, anything that required the internet, I paid for. So like movie theater tickets, concerts. And you know what? It kind of evened out.
Sure.
But because I think it's also like I'm the planner in a relationship and I kind of relate to her here. Like, well, when is this person going to plan for me? In those moments when I want someone else to plan, I actually try to set the person up for success.
Sure.
And what I would have, and I'm not saying you should do with this guy because I think what you said, he copped out. This has nothing to do with his salary. This has to do with him intentionally dating you. Mm-hmm. But I like to set up people for success. And hopefully in her next dating journey, she could say something to someone like, I really love it when we don't have to spend a ton of money on a date. There's plenty of free things to do in the city, but I love it when someone takes a moment to just plan the day we're going to have. Take me to your favorite brunch spot. Show me your favorite, street singer. And, let's see what happens. But that's a plan.
Yes.
You just gave them a blueprint of how to have a relatively affordable day with you.
Yes. I love that. I think that's a great idea. And you can just tell them things you like. I love picnics in the park. I like walks in the, it's about to be fall. I love walks in the, with the leaves and looking at whatever. And even that is just
go pick a
giving
pumpkin.
You information. Yes.
Even though that's become expensive. You've seen New Jersey farms.
And apples.
Dr. Mel, this has been such an insightful conversation. I'm just so happy that you came today. I think so many people can learn from you. Where can people find you if they want to learn how to work with you and follow you on Instagram?
Yeah. The easiest thing is to follow all my socials are I am Dr. Mel. So literally the letter I, A-M, D-R-M-E-L. On all socials, I'm on Instagram and TikTok the most. Through those, you can get to therapy, coaching. We have new groups starting soon around relationships, and one about mommy issues, which also is going to affect your dating. Yes.
You're coming back on. Okay.
Yes.
Well, Dr. Mel, thanks again so much for coming. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Maria. This has been great.
And thank you for listening to today's episode. Be sure to subscribe, leave a comment, 5-star review, and share with a friend. These simple steps help the podcast so much. And of course, the book is out. Go buy it. Be lovable, but more importantly, be likable. And let me just say one last thing. If you're not following me on Instagram, what are we doing here? Matchmaker Maria. Come on. And also follow the podcast, Ask A Matchmaker. And send in your questions, matchmakermaria.com. Hit over there, hit podcasts. You can ask a question. I'd love to include it in an upcoming episode.